Hello. Once again, it's great to be here looking at the scriptures for this Sunday with you. A feast once again. You know, the Eucharist is a feast of bread, but the Eucharist is also a feast of the Word of God. And I'll go through the readings and some of the things that struck me, and I'm sure there'll be things that will touch you personally as you engage the readings this weekend. First reading is from Ezekiel. The prophet is reminding us, showing us, telling us, communicating from God to us that if we turn away from sin in our life, that it will lead to life. It's that turning away that's important, not that we're sinless. It's the turning that's important. I sometimes think about, one of the things that St. Peter will be asking us when we hit those pearly gates is not, are you sinless, but are you still turning away from sin? Is your heart inclined to turn away from sin? Psalm 25 is a beautiful psalm, and you get the sense that the psalmist has been forgiven in the past, that he has, or she has turned away from sin, and that the forgiveness has happened. He also communicates a little bit his disgust or his attitude that his sin is not right, the sin that he committed in his youth. He's asking the Lord not to remember it. And sometimes I think people, myself included, sometimes can look back on the sins of our youth. The sins of youth are talked about, and we can kind of almost think of them as like, something kind of cool that we did when we were young. But this almost just does not have that attitude. He looks back at the sins of his youth and asks that God would not hold them against him. And there's a sort of looking back that is pure. And at times, like I said, I can look back at some of the stupid things I did, whether they're serious or not so serious, and kind of have them like a notch in my case as, hey, that's cool, I'm cool, I did X or Y when I was young. But sometimes that attachment to sin perhaps is still there in my heart, and we need to be reminded in the first reading that it's that turning away from our inclination to sin that's the important part. Second reading is from the book of Philippians, and if we look at the New Testament, we have the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then as we proceed after that, we have four longish books. Long, I call them. We have the Acts of the Apostles, which is long. We have 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and then we have the book of Romans. And after those are four relatively short or medium ones. So I go long, and then short. And the way I remember these four books: Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. Someone once told me, General Electric Pepsi Cola. So GEPC. So that's how I remember them. And I remember that those General Electric Pepsi Cola, those four books contain some real interesting gems. And Paul is encouraging us in Philippians today to have certain attitudes. He's encouraging us to have attitudes of selflessness, attitudes of humility, being one in mind with one another. And then he ends the section that we will read this Sunday, beautiful section, with a canticle from Philippians that many of us are aware of and which really touch our hearts. It says, though he was in the form of God, Jesus did not deem equality with God something to be grasped at. Rather, he emptied himself and took the form of a slave. And this is just a magnificent canticle that Paul expresses to us. And I encourage you to memorize it if you can. But it highlights the attitude that Christ had when he came and he saved us. And the attitude of God himself, being selfless, humble. And then our gospel is from Matthew, and highlights the fact that it's actions and not lip service that God approves of. And that echoes the first reading, that it's the turning away, it's the actions that God approves of, not just the lip service. Because what happens, as you know, two people are told to do something by the master. One of them says, yeah, I will do it. And then he doesn't do it. The other one says, nah, I don't want to do that. But then he comes back and he does it. And Jesus asks, who did the right thing in the parable? And it's the one that obviously did it. and I think I'm more of the type of person that has an initial negative reaction. Maybe it's my personality, and then I might express like I don't want to do it, but then I feel guilty, and then I'll end up doing it. Some people perhaps are different. They'll be yes people and say yes, but then not do it. Which one are you? The gospel encourages us to actually do the will of the Father. So those are some comments, highlights of the readings for me personally. I encourage you, I'm sure God will speak to you as you engage one or more of the readings prior to Sunday. That'd be awesome. God's speaking a lot of gems to us. So God bless you. Have a good Sunday. It's the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time.